Now we'll see the capsule of the temporomandibular joint. Capsule, as we discussed earlier, it is a synovial joint. Temporomandibular joint is a synovial joint. Synovial joint, it must have the capsule, it must have the joint capsule. So if you see the joint capsule, the joint is supported by, the temporomandibular joint is supported by a capsular fibers running from the temporal bone, running from the temporal bone to the disc. Suppose these are posterior glenoid fossa, posterior glenoid spine, and these are articulation. This is posterior glenoid spine, and this is glenoid fossa, and this is articular eminence of the temporal bone. So here we will be having the condyle of the mandible. Here this is our condyle of the mandible. Here we will be having teeth. Okay, so that here in the middle we will be having articular disc. Here the capsule is going to run from the capsular fibers are running from the temporal bone to the disc. So here we will having disc, temporal bone to the disc, and then from disc to the condyle of the mandible. And here one more point, the capsule above the disc. The capsule here we have disc, we have disc here. Here we will see this is our disc. The capsule which is present above the disc, that is little loose. We can say that it is a quite loose. And the capsule which is present behind the capsule, that is little tight capsule. Understand the difference? And one more point, the capsule of the joint. And one more point, the capsule, it is quite thin and loose. It is quite thin and loose in its anterior, medial, and posterior aspects. If we take the capsule is little thin and loose. First point, the capsule which is present on the upper above the disc, it is loose. One point. And the capsule which is present below the capsule, it is tight. This is one point. Okay, so leave it. Now this is the second point. The capsule, see, anteriorly, medially, posteriorly, the capsule is thin and loose. So it is very thin and loose. If we see laterally, the capsule is little thick and tight, and at the same time, the lateral side it is going to get reinforcement from the temporal bone. See here, this is the lateral capsule. The green color, what I wrote here, this is lateral capsule. Lateral side capsule will be thick and tight, and at the same time it is get reinforcement from the temporal bone. Reinforcement, nothing but a kind of additional support. So this is about all the surfaces like anterior, medial, lateral. No, like anterior, medial, posterior, lateral. Otherwise, anterior, posterior, medial side, lateral side. Here we discuss it is thin and loose in anterior, medial, and posterior. Anteriorly it is very loose. And thin because of the joint capsule which is very weak and loose in the anteriorly. So TMJ joint, temporomandibular joint, can dislocate anteriorly more. That's what the point here. Why the temporomandibular joint will dislocate anteriorly more means the capsule which is present here anteriorly, it is very loose and thin compared to the posterior, medial, lateral. So that's why it is going to dislocate anteriorly more. So this is about the capsule of the temporomandibular joint. And one last point here, if you see the capsule is highly vascularized. That means blood supply will be more like blood supply will be there for the entire capsule, and nerve supply will be there. Blood supply and nerve supply will be over the joint capsule of the TMJ. Okay.